where it's not like for dudes. I'm literally telling you, like, if you want to pop in podcast mainstream for men, the only three things you can do. You either could do sports, hip hop, or you got to do this stupid relationship shit where you going back and forth and it's men versus women type shit. It's no other space for that. So it ain't no like, oh yeah, well, it's a mainstream safe space for men to be able to listen to another man even expressing his emotions or even be able to reciprocate how to deal with them. Like, where's this in here? They'll tell you, oh yeah, go call Better Help or whatever one of them jumps that they trying to advertisement. Like you said again, an advertisement somewhere where I got to spend some money to be able to express my emotions. Nah, dog, that to me don't count.
All right, y'all. What's going on? It's your boy Easy Bake Oven. What's up, y'all? So today it's a little different. All right. Now, yeah, I used to hear ads run through my stuff for other people. All right. This is probably the first real time the ad is for me. All right. So P.S.A. Prodigy Sport Advantage Stations has expanded far beyond just the podcast. It is now a writing service. All right. That a ghostwriting service. So we do it anonymously and take care of your needs. All right. Homework assistant, product and profile descriptions, grant writing, resumes, cover letters, templates, books, ghostwriter book too. Anything you can think of, articles, all that good stuff. PSA, the Ghostwriter Solution, can do it. So go over to PSAthepodcast.com and you can see all the services there with all their descriptions. Okay, because I know I missed some. And also you can reach out to me at theprodigyperspective@gmail.com and we can take care of all of that for you too. Peace. Yeah. What's going on, everybody? I feel like the camera more zoomed in today. We on FaceTime. But you know, if anybody who know me, you know I don't put my face on FaceTime because I got a pie face. And today I got a pie face for real today. But that's cool. I ain't got no cut either. But we're gonna make it work. All right. I got the denim on. So late night. This is a late night recording. I usually don't do too many of these. I didn't had a few early morning ones. I usually don't do late at night. Typically, they be like in the evening or afternoon. But this is a late night record, but it's cool. Last week was a hit. We had my girl, shout out to her, Melody, and we talked about uprooting. All right. And this week, we're on track 8. Can y'all believe that? We're from all the way up and we keep telling the story, climbing the ladder. Last week, we talked about uprooting and generational curses. And this week, we kind of transitioning now to another topic, as well as, you know, exploring more stuff in depth and just challenging the narrative and as always. But that's always the goal. I just like how interactive we get, especially with YouTube and just some of the things that have, you know, been said to me, good, bad, and indifferent. But you know, you got to take this, and you in this industry kind of got to take it everything with a grain of salt. Like you can't live by criticism, you can't live by praise and die by criticism, and that's something I want people to understand, especially young men, because it's especially young black men on top of that, because you know we a target, we're gonna always be, you know, but we can thrive, you know, especially if you got a community like this. All right, so let me jump into this week's meme. All right, this week's meme reads, "Let's go, young man, it's time to bloom." Inspiration for this week, actually, so that statement, it was like, it's a YouTube, it's a TikTok, and it's the TikTok reads, it talk about when you mess with a cougar, and it is like a TikTok sound bite where she like, "Let's go, young man, it's time to go." So that's kind of where I got that from. Then also, when I think of this episode centering around like my time is now, I think of John Cena. You remember John Cena back in the day when he do like this and like, "You can't see me, my time is now." He had a song. A few of them wrestlers had a little stint with a music career. I'm glad they quit, but that song, John Cena album in 06, them was going hard. It was 05, one of them, but it was going hard back in the day. A quote that says, "A blooming flower is a feast for the eyes." I like that quote. I think it's interesting, and I think that it kind of, again, correlates with what we're talking about today. and then Romans 12 and 2. And we're going to get into that as the episode goes along as well. So be prepared for that. All right. All right. So let's move into the next segment, which is happy hour. Okay. So for today's happy hour, it's two things I want to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about is haters. Now, I don't want to give too much like light to the haters, but like I was there at the gym today and I was thinking about like all the people, and I just started laughing because I remember one of my homeboys was like, when you get on, he said, so many people are gonna be sick, like sick to their stomach. And if you think about that, like if you in whatever industry you're in, and whenever you get like them eyes on you, have you ever wondered like, and not to like dwell on it too much, have you wondered like what you think people gonna act like or be like when you had your moment? Like when it's your time, what do you think people gonna do? Like, do you think they gonna, how you think they gonna act? I said on Instagram one time, everybody was laughing, but I was serious. I said, I feel like Batman. Like I said, I said when the say for instance, you got several of your haters in one room, but people that don't like you, I feel like Batman. I said when Joker and Penguin and all them team up. Because like the Batman villains, and we all know they're totally different. People that don't like me or have had like major issues in the years with throughout the past years, they are totally different. Like totally different. And it's like that's how I feel. And it's just like I always had wondered, like I had kind of like had like a little vision. I'm not, not psychic or nothing, but I had like a little glimpse of vision one time, and I was just seeing like it's just like a vision of me being in a place, and I saw like a bunch of people who didn't like me all there, and like I remember being like raised up, and they just looked sick, like they was just pissed. Now, with that being said, when you do get to that point, I do believe that you're gonna be tested to see if you're gonna be humble, and I'm kind of talking to myself, but I feel like it's somebody else too. So keep that in mind. Don't get too cocky and arrogant because you will get humbled when you get in that position and you try to like, what's what I'm looking for? Try to like think you better, think you above something because you'll be humbled real quick and now you're gonna really look stupid. So just take it with a grain of salt, chill, relax, don't do the most. And when the time comes, it'll happen when it's supposed to. Sometimes your time to shine will get delayed if you know you're gonna get on that spot and try to stun on people. So keep that in mind. Next thing I want to talk about. Now, we done been through, pandemic, pandemic. We done been through epidemic, several things throughout these last few years. But one thing that has took the world by storm, and another thing I made a post about and everybody was laughing. Ozempic. You know what Ozempic is? For those that don't know, I'm finna read it to you. So Ozempic, hold on, because I took a screenshot of this. Ozempic is basically it's a shot, and it's for long time weight management as well as for those with type 2 diabetes. Now you probably think, why am I bringing this up? Ozempic is now a trend for people to lose weight. They are abusing this drug to lose weight. It started with like celebrities. You will hear about them like bragging about using Ozempic, but now the regular people is using it. And they not talking about them long-term effects of you using Ozempic like that. That can mess you up in the long run. And I hate to go back to like, and I seen somebody in my DMs that was just like, well, people just need to go to the gym and lose weight. I get it. But this generation, as we talked about this earlier in this series, people don't like waiting. They don't like settling. They like what they want when they want it now. So just the way society is, everything is like microwave. So it's like I don't want to work hard to get the results. They either go get some surgery or they doing Ozempic. I think Ozempic is the cheaper way, but it's a shot that you put and it helps with basically losing a bunch of weight. And I want to say somebody said it like get rid of your appetite too. I don't know. Anybody in here get in the comments and talk to me about some Ozempic. What's your take on that? Because it's a lot. I don't like that. Y'all will do anything to get something without doing it. I can't even get the words out. But long story short, we need to do something different because it's just too much. I'm interested to see how far this is gonna go. And there's even a little conversation about it on TikTok. Y'all should check it out. But let me know also, have you ever even heard of Ozempic? Because I just started hearing about it maybe like a few weeks ago. And then I started looking into it and now everybody making jokes about it. So I don't know. Interesting stuff. But anyway, just some good stuff to just kind of get the conversation going today. I have a great guest today. We have been missing each other for a while now. I've been telling him to pull up on the podcast, and then I would say we're gonna have something that we didn't. But he be going crazy on TikTok, and he is definitely one of the voices I feel like of the millennial generation, the young millennial generation. He got a lot of good stuff going. He got a podcast. He speak on any and everything. He give his unsolicited advice. He give his critiques. Some you probably ain't gonna like. He's still gonna say it anyway. And you know me, I don't care what nobody say. Anybody that's like that, whether I agree with what they say or don't, I can always respect honesty and people who are themselves. So let me go ahead and quit rambling. Get my boy on here. What's going on?
What's going on?
So, tell the people, obviously the YouTubers can see you, but for my audio people, I want you to tell the people what's your name, where you're from, and where you live.
CrazyWearMikey. I'm from the DMV, born and raised. Still live in PG County right now. I guess that's it. That's what you asked, right?
Yeah, Okay, so tell the people what it is that you do.
I do a podcast. It's called Vulture Podcast. And like you just basically the rundown you gave it, that's pretty much what it is. It's whatever. I'm not gonna necessarily say hot topics, and also like artists or different conversations. I feel like not having like a lot of mainstream platforms don't cover like black TV shows. Like I don't hear that many people talking about the shot. So all right, I'm gonna talk about the shot. I don't hear a lot of people doing reviews on Power. And don't get me wrong, of course, like if you on like TikTok or something, you can find any and everything. But I'm talking about just like mainstream podcasts, whatever your top 5 podcasts you listen to, 9 times out of 10, they don't talk about neither one of those shows that I just said, or any other black shows, unless it's something like you forced to talk about, like almost like Insecure. Like it was like if you didn't talk about Insecure, then people probably just gonna look at you like, ah, you really out of the loop. But those other shows, I feel like people can kind of stir away from talking about. So that's kind of like I like to talk about all the popular stuff, but then I still want to talk about all the stuff I know people missing, and still an audience for that.
Okay. All right. So now, before I'm gonna get back into that in a second, but real quick, so I have to ask. So your podcast, Vulture, serves as a voice for the millennial generation. How have you seen attitudes towards mental health evolve among young black men, and what role does authenticity play in this transformation?
I still don't think it's took serious, because even perfect example, just let's use a hot topic. Future, he sent a line towards Russell Wilson.
Right.
But when a lot of people was like, "Oh, he just need to leave it alone. It's been 10 years, boom, boom. Why he don't talk about none of his other baby mothers?" And then all the first thing I said is just slow down. I don't necessarily know everybody's dating preference.
Right.
How many people have actually been able to, but you can look on paper. Future has dated women who look his last baby mother that's popular, Joy, look better than Sierra. So for obviously for him to still kind of show some, not kind of, he shows a lot of emotion about how he still feel about that situation going left. He obviously really love her. But people so quick to like you need to move on. I always ask people. I ask girls in the comments. So you don't have no exes that you kind of go back and check on. Even what you were just saying earlier when you was coming into the show, when you were just saying here stunting on haters and stuff like that. I know realistically a human emotion, you have at least one ex that you still double back and check on sometimes. Private page, you still look. You might not do it every day, but maybe once every 4 months, you may go to her Insta story or go to her page and don't like nothing. So that form right there, when people kind of be like, "Oh, he need to get over it." No, how are you gonna tell somebody how to get over it? Because if you tell him to get over and don't say nothing, he should have not say nothing at all. But then you'll go look on the news and it'll be some dude who just wowed out on his girlfriend for nothing and end up killing her. Then y'all be like, "Oh my God, why he just couldn't talk it out?" Future is a mainstream artist. Every time he expresses his feelings, he's showing you, I'm not going to diss Sierra. I'm going to diss her husband. Every time he say something about this man, you tell him he need to shut up. But then you see somebody smoke their junk, then you be like, "Oh my God, what is going on?" What
Yeah.
you want me to not? You want me? Can I express myself how I feel, or you want me to sit here and just resort to violence? Since you want me to just bottle up my emotions, so I do. Just to answer your question, I guess in a shorter term, no, people don't pay attention to it until it's just too late, and then you be like, "Damn, how it get there?"
And y'all look, we only some minutes in. I didn't expect it to get this hot this quick, so that's good. So let's stay with this real quick. Okay, so I like this. All right, so again, I know when women see this clip or any this episode, I know as soon as they hear Future and they hear two black men passionate about him acting, they instantly gonna roll their eyes, smack their teeth, and say, "Here we go." But here's the thing: he getting fired up already. But here's the thing with that: he he is an artist.
Mm-hmm.
He is expressing himself. Now, as I said before, I don't necessarily agree with how everything people do, how they're gonna do it, but in the same breath, this may be the only way he knows how to do it.
Okay.
So is it disrespectful? I probably. Is it right? Maybe not. But like you said, would you rather him bottle this up, be slitting his wrists, trying to hurt somebody else? He may be hurting Russell verbally, but try to hurt somebody else, in any way, shape, or form, because he has a lot of this sadness going on, like you said, and it ain't always about looks either, because he was like, Sierra still look good, but I get what you're saying. Like, if it was just about looks, that'd be one thing, but he really loves Sierra, and it's clear it's still there, and it's unfortunate because he really is suffering in front of our eyes. And I remember years ago, somebody was talking about him, and they was dissecting his lyrics, and they was like, this man is really going through it publicly, and y'all just rapping it word for word and don't even realize it, just overlooking it.
I'm gonna give you a perfect example of a joke that he said. One of my favorite Future lines that always stood out to me, that I was like, oh, he really still love this girl. He said, how you go from dealing with a man drinking codeine to sipping codeine to dealing with somebody taking creatine. That right there, for most people, it was it in Codeine Crazy? It was in one of Future popular songs when he said it. I can't remember what song it was. I just remember that line. But
Yeah.
people glanced over, like you said, because you so listening to everything else, you kind of miss that little part where he's kind of like, he letting you know, I'm hurt. Every time he's letting y'all know, I didn't get over this. It didn't end the way I wanted to. Even if you watch one of his interviews, I think one of the bigger reasons that them two even went separate, and just to kind of stay on topics of a man expressing his emotions, because she wanted him to conform to, like, hey, let's live in California, but he can pay attention. Hey, my music is suffering. So basically, for me to actually be the man that you want me to be, you basically want me to dub my career. So he kind of couldn't find that balance. And I think that's, even for somebody, for myself, I can speak personal experiences. That is something that I deal with a lot. That word is almost a trigger word for me, balance, because it's so hard to kind of really get balance when you're chasing your goals and you so close to them. Like, when you have glimpses and moments of like, oh, this is what it is. It's worth it. Like, I had I did a review on Nicki Minaj. What was it? What's the song? Ruby Red Sleeves, and she reposted it in the joint. So for relationships that didn't work, that moment of just that glimpse of like, damn, this is Nicki. This ain't like some poo putt local rapper. This is Nicki Minaj. Don't, like, even when Billboard did their top 50 list, it's only 7 people to get higher than her. She was like number 8 or number 9 on that list. So for you to say a top 10 artist of all time repost your personal opinion of how you felt about her music, that kind of let me know, like, damn, it's okay to make sacrifices on some of them relationships that you may have really wanted to work. That's right there. That's like a short-term goal. What you just said, when even you talking about the shot, you could settle for what's going to make you happy short-term, but are you willing to sacrifice what realistically would have made you happy long-term? So that's just for emotions for a man. For just any dudes listeners, what you even kind of time, like what you said originally with your opening statement when you talking about the shot, sometimes you got to decide, is it worth me taking the shortcut or just making me happy right now, or let me hold it down and chase the long-term goals?
Exactly. And then it all kind of ties into what we talking about, like, your time is now, it's time to bloom. When, like I said, in that moment, that was a hype moment for you. And then if you put yourself in his shoes, what if you was dating somebody and she was like, oh, yeah, well, this podcast stuff, it's cool, but I can't date nobody who maybe in the spotlight. Maybe she don't want to date somebody that's in the spotlight. You not finna, you gonna say, well, this is not gonna work. I can't stop being me. I can't stop doing what I'm passionate about, expressing myself, however this is, because it don't fit what you wanted. So either you conform and let me do which relationships we both have to do things I don't want, vice versa. This something you can't do. I respect it. Thank you. See you later. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So now we already kind of getting started with some good stuff already. Now I'm gonna ask you a few words and phrases, and I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to mind, and there is no right or wrong answer. All right. When you hear the word muzzle, what comes to mind?
I guess a dog.
All right. When you hear the word or phrase societal expectations.
Women or men.
And what about the phrase the time is now?
When that one is kind of like when people almost force you to chase your goals at their speed.
Mm. Okay. We're going to unpack that in a minute, actually. Now, all right, so let me get into the definitions of everything. So the definition of muzzle, hold on, where it go? I just saw it. All right, the definition of muzzle, the projecting part of a face, including the nose and mouth of an animal such as a dog or a horse, as a guard, typically made of straps or wire fitted over this part of the animal's face to stop from biting or feeding. And figuratively, when people say it, it says it prevent a person or group from expressing their opinions freely. And then society expectations are implicit rules that govern one's reactions and beliefs in a way that is deemed acceptable by society. And then the time is now as a metaphor for a big moment in the arc of time. So yeah, and then I like what you said about when you said something about when people try to tell you this is the time to do this, and and when you said that, it made me think of the phrase of people like there's a time and a place for everything, which it is. But sometimes if you don't do it now, don't say this now, you may have missed that window. And I believe in this time especially, it's a window for certain things to be done, and it's like if it don't get done, you might miss it. Now, I don't mean it ain't gonna come back,
Of course.
but you now maybe have to wait a whole nother year for something. So good stuff to keep in mind with. All right, so now let's jump into the next segment, which everyone's favorite. What does this have to do with mental health? All right, so with a conversation about mental health, we kind of touched on it earlier. A conversation about future I didn't expect, but it was still needed. And people talk about these rappers and a lot of the music in today's society. Unfortunately, it is well, not necessarily. Sometimes future stuff, but in a lot of cases, some of these rappers, the Lil Uzis, the XXX. I can never pronounce the name. Next, I can't never say it. Who was the other one? Juice World. A lot of their music sometimes is that suicidal kind of like depressed, I'm sad kind of vibe. And although it is not necessarily the best message, this is where they are in the moment. These people are crying for help. So now let's talk about your podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
As the host of Vulture Podcast, this is a podcast that you started, that you one man army as far as like the host and producing, correct? You said you host and produce your own stuff, right?
One doing all the main stuff.
Right. And you often explore various aspects of Black culture. Now, this is what you touched on earlier. You said you wanted to be the person who talk about the stuff everybody else is talking, hot topics, but at the same time, which I really don't see. You got a point there. You talk covering shows that people don't cover, like you said, the Shy and Power. And when you really think about it, people do cover Power, but the Shy, I really don't see too many people covering that. I can't think of nobody off the top of my head that does.
But even with Power, I think as a culture we cover it, so that's why it's easy. If I talk about it, I do a clip or I put it on TikTok, it's easy for it to pick up because as a culture we talk about it. But if we talking about like, no, I listen to the Breakfast Club every day. For 50 Cent and DJ Envy to be as close as they are, to me, if my man had a hit TV show, it's no way every Monday I'm not coming on my Hall of Fame radio show and never talk about it.
Yeah.
Everybody everybody shout 50 Cent out, but I'd be like, I'm talking about, I listen to like Hot 97 every morning. I listen to Joe Budden. These people don't, for everybody to praise 50 the way they do, I shouldn't even have to talk about Power. That should be a topic on everybody. For somebody who came from hip hop, who got a hit TV show, to me, like the culture, us as Black people on social media, we love to talk about Power. But I'm talking about actual mainstream platforms, they don't.
Yeah. They only do it when something dramatic happens or when I feel like a certain agenda is trying to be pushed. But like you saying, if it's dropping gold every week, why do we only talk about it? I guess their logic is we only want to talk about the stuff when it's a certain thing trying to be pushed or certain like thing that happens that just really is deemed that important versus just talking about it on a regular basis. So I definitely agree with that. But it's crazy because as we see, talk shows and radio, unless you just been doing it, that stuff is kind of fading out. Podcast is the new wave. A lot of these celebrities, influencers, they trying to get on podcasts. You know what I mean? When they be on these TV networks and these TV shows and Tubi, the first place they be trying to get on, they be like, you see them on different podcasts, and they do on like a little podcast tour.
Of course.
So, and even and although I started this podcast in 2018, and the wave of like the trend of podcasting came in like when COVID, I like that once again, when Black people get on a wave or something, they dominate. So, how do you think societal expectations and stereotypes influence the way men within the Black community are expected to act and express their emotions?
Um, I don't even. They kind of almost don't want you to even express yourself for real. For real. Like you just think about most topics is just like it's almost male bashing. So it's like I can't even really say when you are allowed to express yourself. Like you look at the most popular topics on social media is always a woman kicking a dude back in, or saying, "Oh, if he don't make this certain amount of bread, this, that, and the third, then I don't want to deal with him." So you kind of almost put the expectations where it's like, okay, if I don't play in the NBA, if I'm not a doctor or lawyer, or I'm not a rapper, or I'm not on a TV show, or playing the NFL, or whatever, if you're not making the high six figures, basically women almost put it to the point where, nigga, you SOL. You have to get the bottom of the barrel 9 times out of 10 of what you're not looking for. So it's just like those expectations is like, what can I say? What can I really do? Like, what's the topics? The only topics that we can freely express ourselves on, where it's just us talking amongst each other, is sports. Or on talking about hip hop or something like that. Like it's a safe space for men to speak on any sports page you see coming out social media, or DJ Academics, or No Jumpers, or nothing. You can, as a man, you can say whatever you want under them comment sections, because it ain't nothing but men right there. But you talking about on the shade room of one man, yeah, right, pack it up, nigga. They ain't trying to get nothing from you.
No, but look, and I think that's funny because we live in a society now where we have, well, I mean, his content gonna live forever, but Kevin Samuels, we got Andrew Tate, and we got a lot of these men who are popular who are attacked. And do I agree with everything they say? No, but what I do respect is they are being the voice for the voiceless man.
Of course.
Because men have had a lot, and these people rose up and became like the voice of men. And like I said, their approach always is the best, and everything they say I don't agree with. But a lot of stuff they be saying, if you really listen to, they be right. It's just that people don't like their delivery. But in the same breath, aren't men, this is my question, I'm sure you are going to agree, but this is a question for the world. Aren't men, didn't you all want them to be stern and up and forthcoming, and in your, like, you want a man to be aggressive and not necessarily like you gonna do what I say, like you a slave, but don't you want an aggressive man who's gonna tell you be strong and stand firm in his opinion? Or do you want, you said what?
Don't know more. They just want you to have you got some money to spend. That's it. That's all they don't want you to say nothing. They don't want you to police nothing they doing, or have an opinion on nothing outside of your sports, your music you listen to. That's it. That's all. Do you got some bread to spend? If you ain't got no money to spend, they don't care about your opinion. And with Kevin Samuels, and even Andrew Tate, from the clips I've heard from him, he basically trying to tell niggas to put your money in your pocket, work out the way you look, present yourself a certain way, and then even for the women you don't want to spend no bread on, it's gonna be still a slew of women who sit here and gonna geek over you. But those women don't want you to work out; they want you to be fat. That's why women be like, "Oh yeah, I like the dad body. I like you to have a little gut." You know why? Because now that's because she know realistically that'll keep you a little insecure and don't make you feel yourself so much. But when you got that good pump and you feel strong and you losing weight and your shirts and shit hitting right, you feel a little bit more confident. You don't find yourself going in your pocket as much to sit here and trick off on a woman as much as you do if you let yourself go. That's why I think about how many women go on trips and don't never show the dude. So of course that's why they don't want you to talk. They don't want you to hit. No, I don't want you to Kevin Samuels and Andrew Tate. I don't want you giving these niggas motivation and free advice. No. Shut up. That's why they wanted them niggas to be quiet, because they was getting too many niggas to start thinking like, damn, maybe if I put myself first, I won't have to come out my pocket so much to go out with these women.
Yeah, definitely something to think about for sure. So now got some statistics and some things. So men and mental health. All right. So by the National Institute of Mental Health, it said it offers information on how societal pressures that contribute to the disparity in suicide rates between men and women, emphasizing that men are less likely to seek help due to societal norms. That's another thing we talking about. Like he said, men can talk about sports, they can talk about music, but you better not talk about your emotions. What you talking about? It's instantly gonna be an issue. Now I will say, publicly, my opinion, publicly, people support men's mental health and people support men opening up. But as soon as the dude does it, even if sometimes, and not even just with women, sometimes some men, they don't do it. Like if you expressing yourself to your brother and you let him know what you're going on, he may kind of look at you like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what you doing? So I think really as a whole, society publicly has gotten better, but privately, we still not there yet. Because
my question, where do you feel like it's publicly accepted at? Like, what's a platform you feel like publicly men is okay to be emotional? You couldn't hell and get the crown on social media.
when I say publicly accepted, I mean like when they post stuff like on your YouTube clips, like say for instance, like Charlemagne is very advocate for mental health, right? So people like him, and we'll say like, and I feel like we'll have these mental health practitioners on these big platforms, and we'll say like, yes, and these statistics say men have had this happen and that happen, and we need to support our men. I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, we publicly we do it not in a way like I said, and even what you said with these platforms like these podcasts and things like this podcast, obviously we do it, but I think that but mainstream TV, it's like we see it on like the commercials, we see it in areas where people can't respond. That's what I'm saying. Think about it.
Yeah, of course, I think Charlemagne does an amazing job at it, but I still, and of course, I think he has different programs and he kind of point people in directions for books and stuff. But what I'm saying is, it's a difference where we can name places where I can even name you pages where women can get their emotions off, they can get their thoughts, they can get their feelings off. Like even perfect example, it was just like it was a video that was going viral, and I think it was of a trans woman, and she was saying something about the period or something. And Jess Hilarious made a response video to that. Dog, I follow this girl every day. I've never seen her have like damn near like almost 30,000 comments. Like when this video come out, she might got like 40,000 comments under the joint now of other women where they actually voicing their opinion and rising. I've seen endless women reposting Just Hilarious response video where it was like when women express their emotions and it's something that hit home for all of them, you can clear as day socially see the response. Even if you tied into I don't want to date the jump, but how when they was looking for the girl in Alabama. Just my whole point is when it comes to men, when you saying that, yeah, people say certain things where it sound cool, that they acknowledge where is the real outpour and the real safe spaces for men to really get their emotions on.
Right. And that's the thing, because, and I don't want to use this word, but the best way I can express it is more so underground, because with me and this platform, there are obviously people who do those things for men. There are the communities and spaces. But when I say underground, I don't mean you gotta hide to go there. What I mean is like you keep saying, which it's public, but it's not on the mainstream fully like it should be. And that's why I liked when I said that, which is just deposited in my head when I said that. I said they talk about it where you can't respond. So like I said, you're gonna see a commercial. Mm-hmm. You're gonna see, maybe a situation where somebody may speak on it for a hot second, but it isn't as open to where you're gonna see it and the mainstream, a public platform where it's accepted, because it's like it's gonna be accepted to an extent. It's always a catch in some way.
It's a meme, it's a hashtag, but it's not like, to me, where is the real, like, you can name a million different places or platforms where it's okay to, like, where's the male version of what's the junk that B Simone and her best friend got? Like, what's the version of that that's like mainstream popular, where it's not like for dudes? I'm literally telling you, like, if you want to pop in podcast mainstream for men, only three things you could do. You either could do sports, hip hop, or you got to do this stupid relationship shit where you going back and forth and it's men versus women type shit. It's no other space for that. So it ain't no like, oh yeah, well, it's a mainstream safe space for men to be able to listen to another man even expressing his emotions, or even be able to reciprocate how to deal with them. Like, where's this in here? They'll tell you, oh yeah, go call BetterHelp or whatever one of them jumps that they try to advertisement. Like you said, again, an advertisement somewhere where I got to spend some money to be able to express my emotions. Nah, dog, that to me don't count.
I want everybody's voice to be heard, especially this season. I think I've done a great job of getting so many different. We still got a long way to go, but getting so many different type of men because we need to see that. And I think that
Think about what you said. Even with all that being said, think about how easy it is though for somebody like if I give a negative kickback or a negative or where women feel like it's negative, they'll blow that up. Well, if it's some man that they can drag like Andrew Tate or Kevin Samuels, you make that popular because you want to drag it, you want to argue with it, you want to combat it. But if it's just positive, you never see it. But again, when we talk about who clip him up in those platforms, again, 9 times out of 10, if you go outside of probably Hollywood Unlocked, because Jason Lee run that, most of these platforms, women run them.
yeah.
So they don't. So you think about it, how it be like men be so quick to run and go support the women and this and the third, but they ain't never giving the dudes a positive voice. They ain't with a positive voice that they posting on the shade room every day. Let me know.
Right. And I always talk about my boy Justin LeBoy, but and his stuff funny, but it's toxic.
But did I just say what was the 3 things I told you? If you want a voice on social media or in mainstream media, the 3 things you could do: sports, music, or some relationship back and forth bashing type shit.
For sure. So, with my sources, the Mental Health Foundation in the UK has conducted a study titled "Men and Mental Health," which argues that societal pressures to conform to the traditional masculine ideals can lead to increased risk of mental health problems, substance misuse, and suicide. The Man Box, a study being on young men in the US, UK, and Mexico, it says that shows that conforming to traditional notions of masculinity contributes to poor mental health, violence, and increased risk-taking behavior. And then it says masculinities and men's mental health, making connections, is a chapter of the book, The Palgrave Handbook of Men's Health, which discusses how conforming to harmful masculine norms such as emotional stoicism can contribute to poor mental health outcomes. And again, it's kind of what we brought up earlier. So let's unpack all of that real quick. So basically talking about that we conforming to traditional norms, which is a man should, as far as emotionally, shouldn't really express how you feel. I mean, you should to an extent, but it really, what I don't like is, and I'm going to do a solo episode of this probably at some point, but we can express ourselves if it's through anger,
Mm-hmm.
If it's through anger, or if it's like, you better not cry, you better not be sad. You got to, the only way that's acceptable to us to be angry and to be either ready to fight, ready to try to kill somebody, or something like that, which is why this youth, I feel like they can't express themselves. That, I worked in the school system. That's why they act like that, because they can't express themselves. So they angry, and the only way they know how to get it out is through fighting. And in some places they killing. It's just like, when does it end? And then we, of course, make it seem like going to therapy, something wrong with you. We opened it up and we made it a little more acceptable, but it's just not where it needs to be. So, real quick, in the context of mental health, what are some of the common challenges you believe young Black men face when trying to break free from societal norms and expectations?
I think it's the money thing, and I think the money thing continue because it's like society, and again, I'm gonna just tie it in kind of into women, is you gotta have money. So if you don't have money, you not it, and that puts the pressure on the man to sit here and say, let's just say like what you said, even with the school. So if it goes back to, I got a low education rate, my grades is low, I barely made it out of high school. Realistically, I'm gonna have to get a job there where I can still make good money, but it's gonna cost me hours. So now if I'm sitting here saying, okay, as a man, I don't have a good job where I can sit on the computer, I gotta physically go out and work. I can still make 6 figures, but I'm gonna have to give up a lot of hours. So now guess what? Me giving up a lot of hours because I'm chasing that bag. Now guess what that physically do? Now I'm eating fucked up because I don't got no time to sit and eat a salad and use the bathroom every day and eat my vegetables. So now guess what? I'm eating McDonald's, I'm eating pizza, I'm eating hamburgers. So I'm chasing the bag, but I'm killing myself at the same time because my health is fucked up because I ain't doing nothing but eating bullshit. So that's just that society and that norm of, hey, you gotta have that bag, you gotta be a man, you gotta be a provider. All that is now, like I said again, if I don't play basketball, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, if I'm not into tech or one of these places where I can make money and don't have to give up a lot of time. Think about it, for most men, when you think about providers and good, hardworking men, is I hard labor jobs, they still pay good. They still pay up in the six figures. If you working 12, 16 hours a day, you can still get there. But guess what? At that process of getting there, how much caffeine you didn't drunk?
Mm-hmm.
How much bad food have you intake? So you, by the time you think about you work a 16-hour day, how many, you got to be a different level of mental to work 16 hours and still go to the gym afterwards? Come on, dog.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think that even with that, it's just like it's so many, as a, where I want to go with this. It's only so much we can do that don't get criticized. Earlier in this series, I talked with my boy Jake Jensen. It was track 4, and we talked about some of the things that it was something about the list of the sassy man apocalypse and the things that all it was a list they update of things men can't do. And in that episode, I brought up something. Of course, that list is endless, but it was one that was like, and a dude actually agreed with this. It says, "As a man, why you wearing gloves?" And then the dude was like, "Yeah, as a man, why you wearing gloves?" And I'm like, okay, and although don't get it twisted, y'all, and I'm not saying I don't just say inappropriate stuff sometimes, because I do. We all know that, right? What he said was funny. It was funny, but it's just like you making it worse.
But I guess wearing gloves to do what though?
Well, it was like, I guess it was more so talking about not like boxing and then it was like, I guess in cold weather.
I ain't outside long enough to wear no gloves, so I mean I get
it. Yeah, I know. He was like, but nah, why is it dude? Why you wearing the glove? Why is he said why you got on some mittens? I'm like, bro, come on, man. See, y'all making it worse. But I mean, I get what he was saying, and I get the whole the thing of it. But it's just like, I'm trying to think, do I work? Now I ain't gonna lie. When I was in New York, it was -13. I had some gloves on. I don't care. They can call me sassy. I don't care. But
that's what I'm saying. But you didn't live this, so 9 times out of 10 you wasn't driving. So that's different. But we talking about you live somewhere and you got a car. How long are you really outside unless you got a construction job or something? Or
yeah.
you like if you ain't outside on the block or you ain't outside doing construction, how long are you really outside? You need gloves on? Going to the putting gloves on, like that's crazy. 9 times out of 10 you got a hoodie on. Put your hands in your hoodie.
No, for sure. But see, again, that's men logic. I know for sure. Like I can hear somebody, mama, right now being like, "Yeah, crazy," but it's legit men logic. Like me, I'll be like, I ain't finna be outside alone. No matter, it don't matter no way. But it depends. But just again, it's a different thought processes. What else did they say that was, oh, we can't go to brunch. We knew that, but I don't care. I'm finna go to brunch because it'd be good. So it is what it is. But all right. So now my next question to you is, since this is industry plant, I've asked everybody every episode, and I've gotten different reactions and different answers every time. So let's see if we can keep it going. If you were a plant, what plant would you be and why?
What you mean? Are you using industry plant like in a different type of word, or you mean like
a literal plant, like like a grow from the ground? So this series is a play on words. It's a play on the actual phrase industry plant, but then the cover art, and then of course the episode how we've been going through metaphorically, aligning it with plants and like the formation of a plant and like how plants do. And this episode is centering around blossoming of a plant, which we're gonna get into that actually right after this. But I ask people all the time, if you could be a plant, like an actual one. I've gotten different answers the whole series. Bamboo trees and ooh, now I got ads in the middle too. All right, y'all. So I'm betting on myself even more. We already knew about the ghostwriter solution, right? Well, guess what? The ghostwriter solution is now on Fiverr. That is right. You know how like artists be having like ghostwriters and stuff, like rappers, some rappers, and like singers and songwriters. Well, guess what? I am the podcast ghostwriter. What does that mean? Content for your website, any show notes, any podcast descriptions, anything that'll make your podcast easily searchable, any other thing podcast related that requires writing, I can do it. You can also reach out to me personally. Obviously, it's the same email as earlier, theprodigyperspective@gmail.com. But you can also book my services on Fiverr. Now, I will be expanding more services, but for right now, I'm just a podcast ghostwriter. And I also can help with newsletters too for podcasts. So tap in.
I'll be the hose.
You'll be a what?
Rose.
Okay. Why would you be a rose?
The rose get the hose. I'm telling you, I ain't never in my life gave a woman some rose and ain't get no cheeks. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. All right. So now, with that being said and asked, and we're gonna keep the play on words with the planet thing, right? So do you feel as though you are planted in a specific industry? Like, do you feel that you're called to be in a certain industry or you're put there for a certain reason? Yes or no, and why?
Yeah, I mean, just going. I guess even just keeping it on brand on what we talk about with the podcast, and it's just a voice that need to be heard. And again, I could even just tie it back into just something recently. To me, Rollo Rodriguez right now got like literally one of the best albums out, if not the best album out so far 2023. But I mainstream, nobody ain't talking about him. He got a song right now that's kind of knocking the gunner fuck you mean out of the popular TikTok joint. He got that joint where it's like what's the little part that they took, and the crazy, and again we could tie this kind of back into the earlier conversation when we were talking about just how men can have like express itself like on some mental shit. This song that they got is the little TikTok joint where it's like who you got these rubbers for or some shit. We've been whatever the case may be. I'll skip that part, like, but they basically making a joke about him asking the girl what she got rubbers for. But if in that song is him talking about him and an ex breaking up, and then him like going well some of the future thing, him looking at her Facebook page and saying that she had a baby with this dude, and then this dude end up killing her. I'm like, how did y'all skip all of that and get to the funny part that y'all made it to a TikTok challenge? He literally just told y'all his ex-girlfriend got killed by her baby father, and y'all found 5 bars later you turned it into a TikTok challenge. How? That's a man literally telling you how he lost somebody he loved and how he was used to go on her Facebook page and look at her and her raising her kid, and then to come to find out her fucking baby father killed her. Another perfect example of, but again, people don't even give Rollo his credit. And if you actually looking at his numbers, like on the Apple charts and all that, he got the #1 joint on there over Taylor Swift and all them. But we talking about mainstream, ain't nobody even talking about it.
But once again, this is crazy how this episode is aligning like this. But once again, what we talked about earlier, I told you, it's other podcasts out here that discuss have blink. Because I had always wondered, I'm like, why is there never like a show like The View, but with dudes and different types of men? And it's a podcast that's somewhat similar to that. I think it's called The Black Love or something like that. But again, it's not mainstream. Again, those clips will never be put on there where no place that wasn't like a place for mental wellness or mental health. Again, it's niche down. It's not going to be mainstream until I don't know what's going to be the levee that broke the dam. But even that situation, a man expressing himself, because watch this, he expresses about something that bothered him, that was a serious situation. They turned it to a TikTok and basically made a joke out of it and made an entertainment point out of it. But are y'all acknowledge how he felt? Nope. But y'all heard him when he said about Gunna though. So y'all like mess, but y'all heard which that typical that men puff up your chest, macho, like, you know, I'm the big dog, you ain't nothing, that, you know, the big dog lip up kind of thing. But then again, you ignored this man's like, it's just,
I was like, damn, I don't know if this is just me being an old man listening to this song where it's like, oh damn, this, hold on, what the, oh, and I knew for a reason why I didn't add it to my gym playlist, because the song was too deep. So I'm like, how did this become a TikTok joint? Like, this nigga's pouring his heart out, and y'all just found a piece to turn into a TikTok. I'm sure he don't care, because financially it's going to benefit him, because now that's why his album is continuously growing. But what I'm just tied into just the whole conversation of what we having when we talking about men expressing themselves and people not giving a fuck. That's a perfect example. This literally on a song that's super popular on TikTok and Instagram right now. Like, if you that who this rebel for, whatever that little challenge is going on right now. And this nigga literally a few bars before that part told y'all he watched his ex page every day on Facebook. And that's just some down south shit that they stay on Facebook. And that's how come I knew it was from a real space. He ain't say Instagram. Because if you ever pay attention to most of the old Glorilla stuff that go viral, it's from her Facebook page. Because people in the Midwest and down south, they still really be on Facebook heavy. So when he said he go on her Facebook page to watch her, I'm like, damn, this nigga pouring his heart out, and they don't give a fuck.
And it's crazy though, because, you know, I live in Houston with the whole Facebook thing, and like, people be on it out here, but like in St. Louis, when I go home, people be really heavily talking about Facebook, and I be like, y'all really on that heavy?
Houston is a bigger, probably a faster city than St. Louis, so it's different.
For sure. But, and I know that, but it's just so funny because I be going home and I'm like, y'all really be on Facebook like that? I'm on there for like different community stuff, but I'm not on there like heavy. Like I go days without getting on there. Now, Instagram, Different story. Okay, so now y'all know I like to tie everything in together. So let's tie everything in together. So we didn't talked about all this stuff thus far, and then we talked about the flower part, which is blooming. So this is track 8, the blooming, the flowering aspect. A crucial stage in a plant's life cycle characterized by the production of flowers. It typically occurs after the plant has gone through germination and growth stages, all stuff we talked about previously. During blooming, the plant directs its energy towards producing and displaying flowers, which are the reproductive structures of a plant. How often? So let me ask you this. How often do you produce content, and what qualifies as something for you to talk about? So how often, so what makes you say, I got to talk about this? And then how often do you produce content? For those that don't know.
Doing sports business, I could do something every day, but like I don't know. Like I feel like damn, like that since sports went off and it ain't no nothing on TV, it's a little bit more like I gotta kind of really like go into my brain to like figure something out. Like if it's sports, I can just wake up. All right, let me see what game did I watch last night. I'm gonna talk about this in the morning. That's way easier. Or if like I said, TV shows. All right, I seen this show. I'm gonna give my opinion on it. But outside of that, like it's certain shit I just won't touch. Like even in just perfect example where me as a man, I know to mind my business. Like that situation with Shorty in Alabama, I left it alone. I left it up because it's just like that's some woman. I'm gonna leave it alone. Like women can drag it out and they can make jokes about her. As a man, I don't feel comfortable making jokes about that shit. So you just gotta kind of, I don't never want to even. I won't make some content. Like I won't even talk about the YMW Melly shit because to me it's just like I'm not even a fan of that whole situation because I'm a man, so I can only imagine one of my men snaking me out. So that shit to me, it just hit different. Like that can't just be a click. That can't be a conversation unless we having a real conversation on how fucked up these youngins is. That people out here like saying free him, or they was betting on his, they was making bets if he was gonna be found guilty or not. Like for people to take that serious ass topic and they kind of just making this shit for their entertainment purposes, bro, that shit is scary to me as a man.
Yeah.
Cause you imagine it's 4 friends supposedly it's 4 of us in the car, 2 of us dead and the other 2 alive. And they about to let this nigga free. I'm like, oh, ain't no way in hell. So when I'm seeing stuff like that, I choose me personally because I don't want to be one of the people like I can't be mad at the shade room and then I go sit here and take the same content that they taking and chasing it for clickbait purposes. Nah, you gotta have some type of moral compass on yourself.
So do you think this generation has lost morals?
Hell yeah, because everything is for clicks and views.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? I saw some the other day. Shout out to Jay Shep and my boy Kai Worldwide. They did a clip talking about podcasts and how to have a successful podcast. And they made the comment, it's easy to get clickbaity stuff. But when you for people trying to create a podcast, they was like, it's best to create a podcast that is with timeless topics. And so with me, I don't care. I like that I've taken an organic route of having, 30 views to over 100. You know what I'm saying? Taking that view to going from the angle of talking about stuff that matters and stuff that can be talked about forever. And of course, you got to talk about the current stuff and you got to throw it in there a little bit just cause. But I think that a lot of times, like you saying, you have to have some type of morals and you have to have some type of situation. So you have to have a point where you say that I refuse to entertain or do. And that's just it. And you don't even, and as a man, I feel like I said that's it. And sometimes you can go back and forth, but in other cases, there's times you just be done with it.
For sure.
I think a lot of times we've caught up into trying to explain ourselves too much. Just the people in general, not even just men, just in general.
Quick question for you. Do you feel like that? I think it's more, I mean, like even from what we got going on right now, the way we conversating, I think that's easier to like make it, I guess they call it evergreen episodes, where those episodes, it don't matter when somebody eventually get hip to you, it won't be dated for real. Like it may be a little dated, but it's not dated where if it's like, I know for a fact some of my episodes can't be replayed because it's just literally hot topic after hot topic. It don't matter how I break it down, it's still a hot topic. So do you statistically, because I watch so much content, I can tell when somebody's trying to make an evergreen episode where this conversation is a natural one. Do you ever get, I guess, like a brain fart where it's like, I don't know, because you seem like you kind of real professional with yours, so you might not draw it out where it seems like I'm doing this intentionally for this to be an evergreen episode.
Watch this. It's actually times I try to do stuff to where I can make it current. Because really, all my episodes are really can be played at any time. We breaking the fourth wall, y'all. But all of my stuff really can be played at any time. It's actually me trying to be like, how can I make this a little more current? Because when it does drop, I do may want a clip that may want kind of correlate with what's going on at the moment. And that's why I try to talk about stuff where it's like, even with the hot topics today, or happy hour today, and I talked about the whole Ozempic thing. Like, people have been talking about it for a while, and it's still going to be trending for a minute. So I'm cool with that. And then the whole hater thing, that's always a topic. But it's just more so for me. But I know what you mean. I have seen people try to, it's like you trying to make sure that we recording 3 and 4 in a day. And it's
exactly.
one, yeah,
exactly. I can tell, and I'm glad you know exactly what I'm talking about. When especially big podcasters, a lot of them do that. Try to, I'm about to go on vacation. Let me squeeze 3 or 4 jumps, and you can kind of like this sound like a rush jump or one of them jumps you recorded 4 other episodes that day.
Yeah, and then it was one podcast. I ain't gonna say them name. They published a big podcast. The podcaster, they said like, yeah, it was like some behind the scenes of the episode leading, and they did some behind the scenes of the actual episode. I ain't gonna say who, and they was like, yeah, we didn't record like 4 episodes a day, and I was just like, why would you say that? Like, and then it was just kept on going, and then he was like, I'm tired, and we recording this one, and I'm like, why would you say that? And why would your team, and you're a big person, why would your team let you say that? That was dumb. But okay, so the concept of blooming can be seen as a transformative process where men can break free. We're tying this into men now. So where men can break free from the constraints imposed on them by society, leading to emotional and mental well-being. This aligns well with the themes of personal growth, empowerment, and self-awareness often discussed in podcasts like this, Mental Wellness Podcast, another like mental health style podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is me being funny and petty, so I just got to ask, and I'm interested to see your take on it. What is your take on men taking pics? I haven't seen it in a minute, but I'm going to get to the other one I have seen recently. What is your take on men taking pics with flowers in their beards? I know you've seen that.
Huh?
You've seen them pictures, and I'm going to try to get a clip in. It's like the Black Boy Joy, and it's dudes taking pictures in fields where they have their beards and they have like flowers in them. I know you've seen that before.
I don't know how. Yeah, that's no. Well, Pride Month was in June, dog. I'm cool on that shit. What?
Oh my God. Now, let me ask you this one. What is your take on men receiving flowers? And not figurative flowers, real flowers.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. This girl sent me some flowers for my birthday one time, and I gave them to somebody else. Like, why would you do that? This shit was corny. Like, I don't want no fucking flowers. Like, what? I look like a bitch to you. Like, what are you doing? What are we doing? How does this work? Why would you think this was okay? Like, you thought this was like, oh, I'm gonna be different. Nobody never gave you flowers before. Yeah, because I don't want them. Duh. The fuck is wrong with you? I'm not dead.
Oh my God. Now look, I didn't seen what was it? It was like a photo shoot, and it was a bunch of different men. And the lady, it was like we gave men some flowers, and then all of the dudes in the video, they enjoyed the flowers. And I don't think none of them was gay. I don't think I don't want no flowers. I don't believe none of them was gay. And then I mean, they look, pretty excited to get some flowers. I mean,
but let's go. Can we go back to what we were just saying? Even when it's just about certain shit, that shit is clickbaity. Like even when what's the old boy that Megan Good be talking to right now? Dog, when he took that soft ass pictures, like dog, some shit is just clickbaity, and you can't dress it up by calling it Black Boy Joy or saying, "Oh, look at this masculine man because he got muscles." Dog, it's mad gay niggas who be in the gym. Most of the niggas who be in the best shape be gay men. I don't give a fuck if this nigga got muscles or not. All them pictures he was talking, them shits was fragrant. There ain't nothing about them shits was masculine because he got muscles. You can go to any LA Fitness, most of the strongest niggas in that gym. You hear them niggas talking, you can be like, "Oh shit."
Okay, and we move it to the
come on, dog. Like they be listen. I'm not a fan of none of that shit. Like as a man, you only face painting you or shit you better put on your face is that you at a football game or some shit. Like, come on, dog. Like, get the hell
on. All right, so now this is a great segue. I love how these episodes align. I challenge that. All right. So in our challenge that we challenge kind of what's going on, the kind of things that we talking about. So we'll start there. Before I get into my first question, this is the first question. So we talked about not conforming to societal pressures, expressing yourselves and all that. So you are against and not a fan of, you said the only time a man need to paint his face as if he's at a football game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's clear you're not. Watch this. Do you feel that society is trying to feminize men?
Yes and no for men who are. I'm not going. I'm just in. Let's be clear. I do think even if you are a man and you are raised by just a mom, if you come from a single parent household, you should find. And I guess that's realistically how Andrew Tate gets so big on YouTube, because there is a lot of men who don't have a father figure. So when they see somebody like himself, where he's looked very successful, he's in shape, he got a lot of women, and that's how easy people are influenced by somebody like that, because it's like, yes and no, because even with the Drake shit, but I don't look at Drake as like, he ain't no man's man. Like, don't get it twisted. When it comes to talking to like how to deal with women, I'm a huge Drake fan. I love Drake. Drake is in my top 5 favorite rappers of all time. But that fingernail shit that him and Yachty got going on, bro, I don't feel like Drake is some thorough nigga that I'm looking at, like, so I don't even pay some of that shit no attention. Because most men that they're trying to do that shit with, I don't know a man's man who was looking to these men like to set some type of trend or something. Like, I don't see a bunch of niggas like, oh yeah, you see Drake got his nails done, I'm about to go get my nails painted. Like, huh? Fuck no.
Yeah. But what I can respect about Drake is he don't try to play that role like he's some hard body dude. And I think that's why he caught the attention, because one of my homeboys, he's a Drake stan. And the one thing he said was he liked about Drake was he was a regular dude rapping. Like, he said he could relate to him because, like, I'm not no hard body thug. I ain't this, but you know what I'm saying? But I get, so he not, like you said, you don't even take it seriously because, like, it's Drake, he light skinned, he playing to that role. He is an actor, he was actor first.
And I'm not I'm just that fingernail shit, I'm cool with that. Like, I'm still not even a super fan of just the persons the niggas be doing in the back. And I see that's kind of like fading out, like, after a while. Because this dudes is going, after a while, certain shit you can get tired. If you don't get the attention you looking for, or after that shit get old, you'll eventually be like, all right, I'm cool on that shit. Because a lot of the dudes that was carrying the mail bags and all that shit, a lot of niggas stopped carrying. Like, after the pandemic, niggas like, man, I'm just stupid. All right, I'm cool. I did it and I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think the cross body bags, they cool, but I know them. So are you talking about the same thing? You talking about the across the body bags? Are you talking about?
Do you feel like they're still as popular as they was during the pandemic?
Not really. I ain't gonna lie, I got some cross the body ones, but I know. So is there a difference between those and the other ones?
No, I'm just saying any of them. But do you feel like you wear as much as it, like, that? What was it, 2020, 2021? Them shits was popping. I don't think they're as popular as they was like peak 2021, maybe even 2022.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. When you think about it, not for real.
Because niggas gonna try shit, because niggas gonna be like, oh, I wish somebody had tried me. So you go. I think some men was even buying those bags just to prove a point. Like, I wish somebody would play with me. And then you was in the hood, they was putting the guns in the joint and all that. But then after a while, it's just like, all right, cool, I'm tired of this shit. And you see, conveniently just stop wearing them because you just feel like, all right, whatever attention I wanted from it, I got it. Or whatever attention I didn't get from it, I didn't get it. So it's like, all right, what's the point? I really don't care. Like, I can't see, like, you mentally, just as a man, like, let me go grab my purse every day. Like, that's just not what you're gonna do.
So, in your opinion, what are some of the misconceptions and myths surrounding masculinity that need to be challenged more for inclusive and understanding society? We can say mental health is one, because, like I said, we went way deeper than I thought we was gonna go in that, especially as early as we did. What's something else, do you think?
You say the need to be like championed, or
there needs to be. So I said, what are some misconceptions and myths surrounding masculinity that need to be challenged for a more inclusive and understanding society?
I don't know what needs to be, I guess, took away, but I do know what I would stand firmly on. I think all men, if you need some form of physical activities, and don't wait too late. Like, you need to fucking work out. I be telling niggas, I don't even want to hear your music opinion if you can't give me 100 push-ups. That shit to me is like, those, like that, I'm heavy on that. Like, I don't know what should be taken away, but I know what needed to be added in. Like, men need to care about their health so they can live longer. And it just, like, we don't peak out at fucking 50 and 60 years old, or you died at such a young age. Like, people say that shit, niggas be like 400 pounds. You ain't care about that man for real. Don't be sad about him now. You didn't give a fuck when he was 400 pounds and he was 30 years old.
But see, that's the thing, and it's a slippery slope because one thing about me, and this is a conversation for another day, so hopefully nobody try me today. But although I am anti like feminist, I'm also anti toxic masculinity. There's nothing wrong with physical activity. Really, everybody needs to be doing something physical, but especially as a man, because I don't feel men should be lazy. And I don't think men should make excuses. As I discussed earlier in this series, even if you're wrong, stand on what, well, before the series, is early in this season, I should say. Even if you're wrong as a man, you should stand on what you said, stand on what you did. I don't believe in making excuses, and I don't believe men should play victim. I don't know if that's toxic masculinity. I don't hope it ain't, but even if it is, I don't care. I don't believe a man should play victim. And if you identify as a man, you shouldn't play victim. So that's where I stand on it. But even with that, let's go into some things that I've picked up on. So, things that we should challenge. So, empathy and emotional intelligence research indicates that society values empathy and emotional intelligence. It says a study published in the Journal of Youth and Adolescence found that boys who were more empathetic had better mental health outcomes and were less likely to engage in risky behavior. Now, this is going against societal norms. So, when we challenging, when we shouldn't conform, but in the same breath, it's kind of like it is better for your mental health, but we have to have that door open. We have to have that lane open for that.
When you say conform, like conform to what though?
I'm saying we should. It says they conform to the society expectation of empathy. So basically, in a sense, society says that we should be empathetic, but at the same time, there isn't always a safe space for men to be empathetic and open with their emotions. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, it says right here, research shows that it's best. That study shows that men and boys who were more empathetic had better mental health outcomes and were less likely to engage in certain behaviors. But in the same breath that we signed in what we were saying earlier, when can we do that?
Yeah, I think realistically, I guess if we take it one step at a time, like I think you got to kind of start with whatever group of male friends that you have, even if it's just your brothers and your cousins or whatever group chat you in. Like I did this shit today. I was in a group chat and it was a picture of Karuchi, right? And she was just like in some restaurant. She had like this crazy dress on it, but kind of like went down to her butt crack. And my man wanted to start a conversation where he was like, "Hey, would you let your girl wear this?" I'm like, "Hold on, dog. It's Sunday. Can we have another conversation? Tell me what you passionate about today. Whatever today's date is, July, whatever. Tell me what are you passionate about? Fuck if you would let your girl wear. We already had this conversation before, probably 20 different times. So you have to kind of any man that's watching this right now, and you want a safe space or you want different conversations, you got to kind of dictate them jokes in your own personal settings. And I ain't sitting here saying you got to put the pressure on your girl. No, put that pressure on the men that you about to start your fantasy football shit with. Start that conversation with them niggas. Make that your safe space. The same way we could talk about sports, we kind of almost got to realistically, and I guess that's kind of even me checking myself when we was complaining about earlier, where's the mainstream platforms. You had to start in-house first. So that group chat that you in with your homeboys or your brothers or your cousins, you got to start that safe space there first. And then we can, because if everybody started there, then it'll trickle down the mainstream.
Yeah, I think I remember, and I've said this story before, but I don't care. I'll say it again. I remember one time it was a group of friends discussing. I was telling them about how I started going back to therapy. This was years ago now, and one of my friends kind of looked at me. He was like, "You go to therapy?" I was like, "Yeah." And he was just like, he made a comment later in the conversation, like, "Well, I don't need no therapist. My friends are my therapists." I said, "Not quite, because they're not a licensed professional. So when you're trying to go get that professional view and that professional perspective that's needed, your friends can help, but a lot of times, and even that group of friends, especially that group that I'm naming, that's toxic masculinity at its finest. So for me, it was just like, being sometimes that awkward black guy in a sense. You're not like most dudes, you know what I'm saying? You're not like that group of dudes. You ain't like that one either, but you ain't like all the different types. So it's just like you kind of in that middle space. And I think we started to see a rise of more, Issa Rae started first with awkward black girl, but now we starting to see a rise of more of those awkward black guys too. And I think that it's good because they're getting a voice, and we need more voices in these spaces to speak on those kind of things, because everybody's reality is not the same. Like you said, just because if a dude didn't partake in that conversation, like you shut it down, like, yo, it's something, we're not doing that. But let it would have been somebody who was maybe a little more different. Not, you know what I'm saying? They might have said, it would have been like, oh, you weird, what's wrong with you? You lame. You know what I mean? It would have been chastised.
But you know where that goes? It goes into if you call yourself an influential person, then that's just for whoever watching this. You have to use your influence in other ways than just like, hey, look at me on social media. I got this cool hat and cool shirt on. Okay, if niggas think your hat and shirt is always cool, then I promise you, other things you present to them, they gonna think that is cool as well. So just even I can use for myself for example. If I feel like I got influence, then I believe in having a relationship with God, and I'll show by leading. So every morning on social media, I'll make sure on all my pages, I'm going to post whatever scripture I read this morning. I'm going to post that on my pages I'm going to show you. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and be like, I'm only this one way, but then niggas will respect it because they be like, oh, well, still later on in this day, this nigga gonna show me that he listened to this new ESTG or he whatever the case may be. So it's not as because sometimes like even when you say Issa Rae, I'm thinking like I don't know if how I personally would take if it was a man version of that. That shit probably would come off the corny to me because I do think sometimes for most men it's like we either get the super masculine nigga or you get the super corny nigga where you kind of just need somebody to be in between a cool like. Oh no, he cool, but he be saying some cool shit. I respect his opinion where it's like, okay, yeah, it's cool. It's not a corny or it's not over the top. Because sometimes it's over the top. Like for Gilly the Kid, to me, he's over the top. Like you're trying too hard. Like, so I can't for me it's a turn off because I don't need a nigga just at his phone super aggressive. But if you can find a cooler way to present this same topic and this same opinion, it's gonna sit differently.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. The second one talks about what you already mentioned. We ain't even got to go into details, but it is statistics go with it. Physical activity, we already covered that. It talked about healthy coping mechanisms, that isn't drugs, alcohol, and sex. Let's keep that in mind. I think as men, we think that's our coping mechanism: drugs, alcohol, sex. Some of us fighting. Like, there's other ways to do stuff.
But things to what two things that we have talked about, but I do want to double down on is two things. Whatever your religious belief is, get in line with that. I don't care what it is. That helps you find some form of discipline. Especially, I always tell people, I'm not a Muslim, but I do appreciate how disciplined they are with their prayer rituals. Like when they doing in the middle of Ramadan, so it could be 90 or 100 degrees outside. They still gonna stop whatever they doing at that time they supposed to pray. They going to pray. That brings in a form of discipline. So whatever your form of religion is, get that tight and get your physical shit tight. Like all that, because guess what? If you super disciplined in both of those places, in your religious space and your fitness space, it's gonna help you stop a lot of extra shit that you got, even when it comes to your emotions. If you got a strong, if you wake up, pray, and you go to sleep praying, you even find certain times in the middle of the day, you may miss an accident. You're like, damn, thank God, or whatever your religious, I don't want to push no religion on people, but I'm just telling you to get in tune with whatever form, however you want to get there. Same way with the physical shit. If you want to just take 3 miles a day, start at 3 miles a day, get it in. 30 push-ups a day. Get it to 100. Like by Christmas time, you watch this, whenever you drop this, nigga should be at 100 push-ups a day. Easily. And you should get your miles in because those things, that discipline is different, dog. And it'll help you with every other form of your life. And it will make you don't care about a lot of other shit. Because you'll see that value that we put on things because society tell us to value it. When you be in shape and you mentally there, bro, you don't care about most of that shit. I don't care.
No, for sure, for sure. No, you spitting for sure. All right, let's get to the next segment, the weekly sabbatical. And we all know this is a time to just kind of reflect, kind of go back over some things. So real quick, I know the answer, but I'm going to ask and you can go into detail. Do you enjoy discussing controversial moments?
It probably just depends on what it is. Like I said, even with the shorty in Alabama, I skipped that one. But like with Mac and Chris Rock, I'm cool for that. Draymond Green punching Jordan Poole, I'm cool with that. It just depends on what it is. Like I don't want to do something where it's like me speaking on it cause more damage than it can be entertainment.
Earlier we mentioned the word muzzled, right? And that's when you feel like you can't speak or shouldn't speak. So you just made the comment about certain things you won't speak on. Mm-hmm. Now, has there been a time where you wanted to speak, and not even just with the podcast in general, where you wanted to speak and you felt that you couldn't?
Maybe like 6 years ago.
Okay.
I was in a relationship with a girl, and her family was like super smart, and they was just like always using big words. When I used to be around them, I used to be quiet as shit. But that scenario happening to me got me into religion, and it got me into listening to audio books, and got me really into listening to more podcasts. In my mind, it was like, I never want to not be knowledgeable about anything ever again in life. So whatever topics like I feel like that I need to be sharp on, okay, it's a book about it. I'm sure it's a podcast about it. It's probably multiple podcasts about it. So let me constantly on a day-to-day basis, before I even listen to music, I may indulge in like 10 to 12 hours worth of just conversations. So now, like right now, I can talk about whatever as long as it makes sense. I'm not about to, like I said, it's certain, my moral principles won't allow me to talk about certain things, but anything else is whatever. We can talk about whatever.
No, for sure. And that's the thing too, even with this platform, and just in general, I can talk about anything. I mean, we don't have to agree. I feel like, there's some things which I'm gonna discuss off air that I got coming up that I think would be good that you don't really see too much of. But I'm just open for having dialogue. And even if we can be have totally different views. But you know what I'm saying? I think that it's good to just have those conversations publicly and things. So now, as a prominent voice in the podcast community, how do you envision Vulture and other platforms fostering conversation that empower young Black men to embrace their true selves and their mental health journeys moving forward?
Just making the conversation cool, making conversation cool. Everything else will fall in line as it's supposed to, but just making conversation cool. Like it's cool to talk. It's cool to be able to talk. Like, cause again, if we bring it into Justin LeBoy or the Shade Room, most women, men can't even hold a conversation. They don't got nothing to talk about. They can't hold my interest, whatever the case. So making just conversation, and for dudes to be able to hold a conversation in general, cool. What we talk about, it'll get there as well.
Definitely. What does do not conform to the pattern of this world will be transformed by the renewing of your mind means to you?
Explain to me what you mean by that, Dennis, so I can give you a better answer.
So when it says do not conform to the patterns of this world, so I look at that as when we talk about do not conform or go into what the world is doing. Basically, be your own person and be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So when you hear that phrase together, because I'm gonna give a breakdown in a second, but like what do you think that means, or what does that mean to you? If that does it make sense, or do I need to break it down some more?
I wouldn't conform to whatever that shit you some of that Black Boy Joy shit. I wouldn't conform to that.
Okay. Okay. So basically, obviously, this is Romans 12:2. And I sometimes I like to just kind of spring up like either quotes of Bible verses on people and just ask their opinion on it, what it means to them or whatever. And so that's Romans 12:2. And basically it just talks about, especially when we talked about briefly, religion, faith, all that stuff, and how when you're placed in the industry, we talk about being planted, and we talk about when God calls you to do things and he has a certain standard. And sometimes the world will challenge that. He's kind of calling us to still align with what he said, right? And so I think a lot of times in the world, we kind of a lot of agendas being pushed. I hate to be use that word. No, people hate it, but I'm gonna use it. But like gluttony is pushed. I ain't gonna lie, I do like them ASMR videos. They be funny, but that's gluttony. You know what I'm saying? We got people who, we do see the workout craze, and we see a lot of these professional trainers and stuff all on Instagram, and they be getting results, and they be showing some of them people was way bigger than me and not way smaller than me. But we see so many things that try to, I feel as though, shut the mouths of men. Don't get it twisted. There's a lot of these dudes on these podcasts that don't be talking about nothing. And in some instances, I do be when women be saying things, I have to get quiet because I can't defend some of these dudes. But in the same breath, I think they try to muzzle all men because of that. They try to make us just where we just be quiet. Like I said, we pay the bills, we discipline the kids, and that's it. You know what I mean? And then we just let her do everything, and just let society say what we should do, how we should do it, and change the view of how men should be. Because, like I said, you won't like when you seen those memes where it be like a girl be wanting a praying thug who what did she say? She want a thug who pray, who pay all her bills, who let her do whatever she want. It's like you want everything at once.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of the meme. I wish I had it because I'm all over the place with it. But y'all get the gist of what I'm saying.
So,
So I don't know.
but do
I just
just even just so you won't skip over what you said with the gluttony thing. It's so funny that you said that because I caught myself last week talking about that because I was saying how even with a lot of pastors, it's so easy for them to tell you not to watch porn, right? Like that's most pastors go to it if it's something they want to shame, it's always pornography, right? But they always skip over the gluttony situation, and it's just funny that you brought that up because that goes back into what I'm saying is it's the American way to chase that bag. So guess what you're going to end up doing? You're going to over and end up in because you're chasing the bag, and which is a form of gluttony because you are over and trying to overindulge in the money where it has you in overindulging eating, where basically it's going to just put you in an early grave.
yeah.
So that's just my you can't skip those topics, and you can't even when you talking about just again when I say that fitness and that religion thing go almost hand to hand.
They do.
You kind of can't realistically as a man if you want to be able to even shut out everything that the world telling you, you gotta get both of them things in order. Because I'm telling you, if you physically feel like I'm that nigga, you're gonna carry yourself that way, and you're not going to. It don't matter. A woman can tell you, "Oh, I don't want to hear no man's cool." I ain't never got to talk because it's gonna be a bunch of thirsty women who they ain't even. I don't have to talk to them neither. They just want me to shout out to Sexy Red. They just want to go to Pound Town. That becomes from the work that you putting in that gym. You making yourself a sex symbol. Don't let nobody lie to you and tell you that women don't like that shit. They love that nigga from P.S.A. What's they got Miracle Watts pregnant. They love him. They love when Ghost take his shirt off and he go crazy in power. Women used to look forward to seeing Ghost sex scenes. Don't let them lie to you. You better get your ass in that gym and get them push-ups in order. And again, get your religious beliefs in order. I don't care who. I'm not telling you who to go believe in or what scriptures to read, but you need to get both of those things in order. Everything else will fall in place after you get those two things in order. Because mentally you're gonna be somewhere else. You gonna when you really put in that work in that gym, you ain't thinking about what the world got to offer you. You just
No, sure.
going on.
Absolutely. All right, so as we kind of winding things down, as always, I always got to give y'all some tips and ways to, to express yourself, especially for this topic that we talking about today, and not to conform, and ways to not bow down to societal pressure. So, and a lot of these tips, funny y'all, is stuff we've already covered, but we just kind of making it to where it's easier to really hear it right here because it's all lined up. Okay. First one is the embrace emotional expression. We've talked about this in about 5 different ways. Men can consciously work to embrace and express their emotions rather than suppressing them, which is a common societal expectation. The APA's guideline for a psychological practice with boys and men emphasize the importance of expressing this. The second one is challenging stereotypes. Actively challenging and rejecting harmful masculine stereotypes is another strategy. And then the Men in Masculinity Journal often explores the importance of challenging traditional masculinity norms for men's mental health. And one of my favorite things to go against with men is expressing yourself with not expressing yourself, just bottling everything up. Because so many people bottle everything up and then just explode. And then it's like, you crazy. But it's a way you could have been avoided earlier. Even and once something I learned a long time ago, and people catch it, I'm a little firm now, so it really don't matter. But back in the day when you felt the way about something, is one of my tips I've always given. Say it as a joke. You know what I mean? If you really feel a way about not wanting to say it, I mean, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say how I want to. That's just me. But until you get comfortable with doing that, because there's a lot of men who just don't know how to do that. Say it as a joke, but say it like, find a way to do it in a joking way, but still mean what you say.
But what was the key thing I just told you? Making conversations cool.
Right.
You know how to communicate, and the more comfortable you get with just holding conversation, you ain't even gonna have to joke about it because you're gonna know you'll have so many clever ways of even beating around the bush or just saying whatever you mean. And this kind of gonna be a little bit misogyny with it. You can know how to manipulate somebody if you got a good conversation game. I can make you feel how I want. Like you don't want to go to if you dealing with a woman who don't want to go to the gym, you could talk your way into making her want to go to the gym without.
The third one is an obvious one, and I try to always point back to this as many times as I can. Seek professional help. Just don't let society make you feel no way about doing it. And again, you don't have to tell everybody your business. If you, and especially in this season, you need to move in silence in all areas, not just with your projects. Well, that is kind of a project. But if you self-conscious about people know you going to therapy, don't tell nobody. You don't have to. The therapist can't tell people they saying you no way.
Can I ask you a quick question? What will be your, I guess, what will be your solution for people who can't afford therapy?
So my solution to that would be a lot of these is a lot of it depends on where you at in life. So a lot of these professions, I don't know all of them because I'm not a practitioner. So I just go off of what I've known, what they have told me, and then stuff that I've researched. Like I do know, like educators, most of them. Well, I know for sure in Texas they get free therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of these jobs actually get it, and you're paying for it and don't realize it. So I would say look into whatever it is that you do and look and see, like, is it being taken out of? Because a lot of stuff actually covers it. They just don't tell you. And sometimes they do. So that would be my suggestion for that. And if you are in school for whatever reason, because some people I know may be getting their master's, PhDs, whatever, a lot of these colleges are covering that too. So I would just say look into whatever profession that you are in. But in the meantime, until you can get the money, because I believe you have to speak things into existence. And for those you don't have the money, your job don't cover it, to go and look into its podcasts that have these professionals on them. They're not replacement for therapy, but just kind of can start getting you in the mindset until you can get the money for it. So I think that'll help out. The fourth one, something as we talked about, mindfulness and meditation. This is, this can help you when you feel like you can't control your emotions. Because even, let me say this, even if you're reacting out of anger quickly and you're very short tempered, I don't know why we don't realize anger is an emotion. That's still being hella emotional. So that means you can't control yourself. And you need to be more, and we talked about discipline. That's a form of discipline.
Mm-hmm.
The fifth one, which I thought was an interesting one, but it's a good one. It says supportive social networks. Building a supportive social network that encourages genuine self-expression is crucial. The Health and Social Work Journal discusses the importance of social support for mental health. There are literally communities for everything that you are looking for. It's a community I'm in on Facebook. Shout out to Man Up. And they're based out of St. Louis, and they're a group of just men, younger, a little older, and we just, it's just for young men to just express themselves and do things for the community. So there's whatever you're looking for, they got it. And anybody can join the organization as well. All right, before we move into the final segment, I have to ask you, what do you do? So with you like you even said kind of, and I'm gonna be looking forward to seeing it more on your platform now because we didn't talked about it. Now you said you could use your platform more to discuss more of those kind of not necessarily mental health topics, but more of those topics that center around like men expressing, going a little deeper in it.
Mm-hmm.
So what is another way, an angle you can take a situation? So like say for instance, I don't know if did you discuss the situation with Future on your platform yet?
Yeah, I was getting dragged on TikTok.
Oh, he's getting dragged.
And it's crazy that even men get in there. It's like he just sound like a better woman. I'm like, all right, dog. I ain't about to argue with you. You got it.
I mean, I'm just different because I'm the type of person where I try to see everything from every angle, even if I don't agree. And even if like it's times I have conversations like this on the podcast where I'm more so picking the person's brain, and it may even seem like I agree, and I really don't. But I was just more so trying to get them to see where they was coming from and try to speak. Now with the Future thing, you actually changed my narrative. I don't think because I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of like, dude, come on, you're doing too much. But when you put it like that, I didn't even see that. And that's the point of this podcast, stuff like that. Because I didn't even see it. Then I'm like, dang, you right. Like he really just expressing himself. Of course, he maybe could have did it a little better, I guess. But he is a rapper. And it's like, you shouldn't get mad for people doing what you know they're gonna do. If you know you got a homeboy, huh?
But just quick question. Just think about this. Think about what people saying. People think about how people get mad at a man sitting here saying, because I said fuck Russell Wilson, but people don't care that nigga, every teammate of Russell Wilson that played on Seattle all last season, they was kicking his fucking back end because the Denver Broncos was playing like shit. So they found the easy way. Oh, look, while he playing like ass in Denver, let's talk about how much we hated him when he was in Seattle. Nobody don't care. Y'all don't care about that, but you care about Future saying fuck him. Like, come on, dog.
Yeah, because again, it wasn't mainstream, and they wasn't pushing that narrative to hate him. So the narrative of this mainstream stuff is so strong. Then that's what people miss, that they push these narratives, and y'all don't even see, y'all miss out on stuff because that's not the narrative they want to push. But like I said, people pick and choose when they want to care about stuff. People pick and choose when they want to be outraged. We've been seeing that since the beginning of time, especially with media, even back in the day before social media and all that. If you really look back at stuff, so crazy stuff. All right, so now let's move into the final segment, y'all. We had a great episode, but game time. All right, so this game is called Bloom or Doom. So I'm gonna give you a few scenarios, and I want you to tell me whether or not bloom or doom. So bloom is as far as like the person should continue to flourish, grow, or whatever, and doom like nah, I ain't with that one. All right, you ready? All right. So now, what happens when you see a situation where a man is openly crying on social media?
It depends on what he's crying about.
All right, let's go there. He's crying about losing his job and being evicted from his house.
If you got the audacity enough to go on social media and put that much of your business out, nigga, knock yourself out. You can cry all you want, cause I ain't that bold. That's you a different level of nigga. If you can go on and tell people that you got fired and you shout out to you. I ain't that transparent. That's a different level of transparency. If you could take it that far, go ahead, take it to the floor, my nigga.
I already know the answer to this one, but I'm gonna ask anyway. Seeing a rapper or celebrity expressing themselves through their art about their ex breaking up with them.
That'd be my favorite shit. Let me tell you something. My favorite Giveon song is "The Best You Ever Had." Well, I think it's when he was like, "This who you ever." I think it's called the. Is it still your best? Still your best. Whatever. This who you supposed to be replacing, nigga. I'm a fan of that shit. I don't. That's why when niggas was like, "Oh, Future, man, y'all can suck my dick." I love that shit.
Oh my god.
Is that shit when he told that still your best? That's my favorite Giveon song. So I'm here for that shit. Y'all crazy as hell.
All right. Dude doing a photo shoot with all pink.
I'm cool with the all pink as long as it just don't. I don't it depends. It just depends on how it look. Cause nigga, I fuck with the pink fur
I
with
was
the.
gonna say Cameron, yeah.
That's fire. Kanye with the pink polos back in the day. That's fire, man. Nigga, I got a pink hat right here. Ain't nothing wrong about the color, but it's a difference between wearing rocking pink and letting the pink rock you. That what's the whatever Megan Good new boyfriend name is, whatever that shit he was doing, that shit was some sassy savage shit. I'm cool on that.
Jonathan Majors.
I'm cool on that. Nah. I even when I that that nigga pissed me off every time I see his fucking face. That nigga ain't got no mustache. Oh, get the fuck out of here.
All right, we're gonna move on real quick, y'all. All right. A dude coming out with his newest company or his new writing service.
What you mean? Like,
so basically, we're in a writer strike. And because of the writer strike, you see a man come forward with his new writing service, and he's like basically writing for everybody now. Like he's doing all the writing because they on strike and they need a new writer, so he didn't took over.
oh, that's tight. He's smart then.
All right. So in the last one, I already know the answer, so I'm gonna ask about another answer. Receiving flowers, literally.
Yeah, no, I'm cool.
But then the other one, receiving flowers figuratively.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that. And I'm a fan of people receiving flowers from people you don't expect to receive them from.
Yeah, for sure. All right, y'all. So now let's move into the question of challenge for this week. I want y'all to tell me, can you spot a stereotype about how men should express their feelings that you've come across or followed? And you can tell me how it made you feel too, but I'm really more so asking, like, what have you noticed? What have you noticed as toxic? What have you noticed, or not even that men have done or should do that it just is what it is? You know, I know y'all favorite is pay all the bills and all that stuff, but I didn't cover that enough. All right, so the next week's episode is going to be a great one because it talks about the next stage of the plant, which is the harvest and the orchard stage. And we got a great guest for that, so y'all got to tune in for that. But my boy Mikey, we had a great episode today. Anything you want to add or say before we leave?
No, I appreciate you for having me. I definitely enjoyed the conversation. I appreciate it.
All right, cool, bet. I definitely enjoyed it. It definitely was great. I knew it was going to be good because you can talk. I see it all the time on Instagram. So, all right, y'all, that's all we got for this week. So, P.S.A. signing out. Always remember, keep your head up like your neck hurt. Remember who you are. Make your mind up. Don't let it make you. And I love us for real.